Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start out by giving our praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Yahawah being the name of Heavenly Father, meaning He is, He exists. Ba'in, Ha, Sham name, YAHAWASHI, be the name of only begotten Son, meaning He delivers, He saves, Rahak Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostles and elders of great Wilson, well, peace and blessings to the elect of Israel. Shalom and above all. Back at it when they left through the spirit of power of Yahawah, BAHASHAM, Shai. Lord willing, this video is edifying, man. Okay, and I want to go right into it. This is Hosea chapter 1, verse 10. It says, "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power." All right, call HALALYAM YAHAWASHI. So, what does it mean? How the children of Israel is as the sand of the sea, meaning that we are a great multitude. As a nation of Israel, we are a great multitude, man. And also, we've been scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. See, that's why in the book of Numbers, I believe it's 23. And Salakia. Let me actually look it up. Numbers 23 and 10, the YAHAWASHI. It says, "Who can count the dust of Jacob and the number of the fourth part of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and let my last end be like his." You see, so this was Balaam in the spirit talking about Israel, man. And he said, "Who can count the dust of Jacob and the number of the fourth part of Israel?" So talking about a quarter of our people, it's almost as a quarter of the nation of Israel is as a numerable number. So how much more, the full portion of Israelites in existence, you see? So that's why the Lord said, "Whereas the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered." You see? So you got Jakes all around the world from all different types of walks of life, man. And a part of that curse where we would be scattered abroad, where we ended up here in the Americas, man, which is the same place where they tell us that we are not the Lord's people. Same place where they say that we're black Hebrew Israelites. Pretty much not acknowledging our true identity. They put the term black in front of it, which we're not black. We're actually Israelites from our respective tribes, okay? And we're not black either. We're different shades of brown, you see? But that's the thing. Esau tries to label us black because black means negative, death, void of light, okay? And they try to call themselves white, which they're not white. They're actually red, going back to the nation of Edom, which Edom means red, you see? And they're actually red. Their blood shoots forth before their skin because they have leprosy. So to have light, pale skin like that is really a curse, all right? Leprosy is a curse. But nonetheless, for those of our people who are Israelites and do have, skin, or may look like, an Edomite or the other nations, you're still Israel in the spirit. So that's what matters most of all, okay? And eventually we're going to get new bodies. So, even if you did have a melanin or you were a dark-skinned Jake, you still need a new body regardless, man, because we're in the flesh. We need new bodies. But the point being that Esau, Edom, he calls himself white, but he's really red. And white means pure, honest, upright, but he's far from that, man, okay? And a part of him being dishonest is him not telling us who we are. Him saying to us, "Oh, you're not the sons of God, you're not the children of Israel," because they don't want us to tap back into our true power, man, because they know that when we're right before Yahawah Shai, these nations can't stand before us. That's what it says in Psalms 83 and verse 3. It says, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." You see, so they're constantly trying to cut us off as a nation. They constantly want to see us, downtrodden and defiled, man. Because they know that when we're right with our power, they know they can't penetrate us, man. That's why in Jeremiah 50 and verse 7, it says, let me start at verse 6. Jeremiah 50 and 6, it says, matter of fact, let me actually start at verse 4. Jeremiah 50 and 4, it says, in those days and in that time, saith the Lord, talking about these last days that we're in now. It says, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping, they shall go and seek the Lord their God. Right. So what does that mean? That means that we're waking up to our heritage. We're remembering ourselves in the land of our captivities, as it says in the book of Baruch. Okay, now it says, verse 5, it says, they shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, come and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. And that's exactly what you see now, man. You see us asking our way to Zion. We're seeking the old paths. We're seeking after the ways of our forefathers in righteousness through YAHAWASHI, through these scriptures, through this word, with our faces thitherward, man. You know, a lot of times when we give startup lessons or startup camps, we give all praise to YAHAWASHI. We face the east, man. We face towards Jerusalem, which is our homeland. Our faces are thitherward. Okay? It's verse 6, it says, so that's the point on that right there. Let me get a precept to back this up. This is Baruch chapter 2, starting at verse 29. It says, if you will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations where I will scatter them. Right, because we were once as the sand of the sea, but the Lord, he decimated us at one point to a small number amongst these lands where we've been scattered. You know, but now the Lord, he's like Scripture say, I, the Lord, change not, therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So the Lord, he's replenishing us as a nation, and we're becoming fruitful again, you know? So, but we were once decimated to a small number because of our wickedness. It says, for verse 30, it says, and it also says, among the nations where I will scatter them. Going to show you that Jacob is scattered amongst all nations, man. James 1 and 1, to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Israel is scattered abroad, all nations, to the four corners of the earth. Verse 30, it says, for I knew that they would not hear me because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves and shall know that I am the Lord their power, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear. You see, so the Lord, he's given us that spirit to hear again, man. We're remembering ourselves in the land of our captivity. Even though Esau Edom has tried so hard and invested so much money and resource and time and researches to get us out of our alignment with YAHAWASHI. Deuteronomy 30, starting at verse 1, it says, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, that thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord thy power hath driven thee. See, we're calling it to mind. We're remembering ourselves. The Holy Spirit is bringing us back into remembrance. It says, and shall return to the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul. See, because the Lord has given us the spirit to seek him again. It says that then the Lord Yahweh with thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy power hath scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the utmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy power gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai thy power will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. And the Lord thy power will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed to love the Lord thy power with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. See? And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord and do all his commandments which I command thee this day. See? So the Lord is telling us that in the latter days we're gonna remember ourselves among the nations where we've been scattered, man. Going back to Jeremiah 50 and verse 6, it says, my people have been lost sheep. You see, because we've been scattered abroad, man, through all these different shepherds, and we scattered unto all these other nations. You see, because they scattered Jake from Israel physically and spiritually. It says, all my people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. Talk about these other nations. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. That's right, because you got a lot of Jakes. They believe that they're everything else but an Israelite, man. Because our people forgot their resting place. Like the scripture say, the ass knows his owner, the ox is master's crib. Roughly paraphrasing. But Israel doth not know, my people do not consider. Verse 7, it says, all that found them have devoured them. Talk about these other nations. And the adversary said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. You see, so these other nations, they figure, oh, since we're going off, they're not going off for conquering us because we went off against the Most High. So these other nations know that when we're living right according to our God, then we will be prosperous. But if they know that if we sin and we go off, then we will not be prosperous. This is the book of Judith, chapter 5, starting at verse 20. It says, now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up and we shall overcome them. See, so that's why they're constantly trying to tell Jake, you're not Israel, you're black, here, take this pork chop, you know what I'm saying? Take this free pork chop, oh, you should go to the Red Lobster and get the new crab dish. You see what I'm saying? They try to seduce Jake. They put it in the music, they put it in the media. They try to seduce Jake so that Jake could go off against the Most High and that they could conquer us, man. But see, what they don't understand is that the Lord had it set up for the Holy Spirit to throw a monkey wrench in all their plans. Like the Lord said, he disappointed the devices of the crafty. Because that's also a part of their New World Order, so to speak, man. To obliterate the nation of Israel. And how do you obliterate the nation of Israel? Which really you can't. There's no way you can do it. But the way to decimate Israel, okay, to a certain degree, is to get them to go off in sin, man. Because sin is our kryptonite as a nation. It says, matter of fact, let me get this real quick. This is Proverbs 14:34. Righteousness exalteth the nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. See? That's the point right there. It says, but if there be no iniquity in their nation, Judith 5:21, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. You see? So, if there is no iniquity found in us, the Lord will defend us from our enemies, man. That's why going back to Micah 4, segues perfectly to Micah 4, starting at verse 10. It says, be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail, for now shalt thou go forth out of the city. Meaning, we left the land of Israel. Okay, we left Jerusalem, our homeland. It says, and thou shalt dwell in the field, which the field represents the world. Going back to Matthew, I believe, 13. Matthew 13, starting at verse 38, it says, the field is the world, the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. Right? But the point being what? The field is the world. Micah 4 and verse 10, I read again, be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now shalt thou go forth out of the city, and thou shalt dwell in the field, meaning we've been scattered abroad. And thou shalt go even to Babylon, talking about here in America, okay? There shalt thou be delivered. There the Lord shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies. And this is how you know that this is talking about America, because we weren't delivered from ancient Babylon. We just got emancipated from one captivity to the next. Now it says, because we went from the Babylonian Empire to the Medo-Persian Empire. So the Lord said that there in Babylon, he's going to deliver us from the hand of our enemies, man. And we're seeing that now. It all starts with this knowledge. When you take heed to the wisdom of the Lord and you become a servant of the Lord, then guess what? The YAHAWASHI will defend you from your adversaries, man. Okay? Let's continue. Let's get a quick precept, matter of fact, if the Lord allows. This is Ezekiel 39, starting at verse 21. It says, and I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed, and my hand that I have laid upon them. So the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh, their power from that day and forward. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies, so they fell all by the sword. Okay? According to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. You see? So now, the Lord, he's turning back our captivity. All right? It says, therefore thus saith the Lord, power, now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name. After that they have borne their shame and all their trespasses whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none of them made them afraid, and none made them afraid. When I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out of their enemies' lands. Yeah, Micah 4 and 10. The Lord is going to deliver us from the hand of our enemies in the land of Babylon. It says, and I'm sanctified in the sight of many nations. Right, because when they see the strangeness of our salvation, according to Wisdom of Solomon, you know, they're going to be repenting and groaning in anguish of spirit. You know, talking about, you know, we fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor, man. You see? So YAHAWASHI, his right hand is going to be sanctified in the sight of many nations, man. People are going to see the glory of the Lord come back. Like Hosea, behold, he come with clouds, every eye shall see him, even they also which pierced him, man. And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so Amen. Verse 28, then shall they know that I am the Lord Yahweh, their power, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen. But I have gathered them unto their own land, and I have left none of them any more there. Neither will I hide my face any more from them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, saith the Lord power. You see? So this is why they're constantly saying to us, oh, you're not the children of the living God, you're not the Israelites, because they don't want us to be in tune with our power, man, because they understand that that will be their ruin. Okay? So that's why they say what they say. You know, ye are not the sons of the living God. But here it is. The Lord set up the prophets, beginning with our apostles and elders on down. You know, and Abba Bivens, high priest, Masha, high priest Ariah, high priest Yaquab, you know, the men of the Lord coming back to herald in the kingdom of YAHAWASHI. Guess where the Lord raised them up? Up here in Babylon the Great, man. Okay? So in that same place where they told us we weren't the sons of the living God, in that same place we are being told we are the sons of the living God, because the men of the Lord are helped. The men of the Lord that YAHAWASHI has raised up, okay, is bringing us back into remembrance via the Holy Spirit, you know, through YAHAWASHI. You see? So it's all coming back into play, man. It's all coming back into play. But I had a few more precepts that the Lord allows, and I'll close with this, Lord willing. Oh, I think I hit everything. All right. Hey. Well, you know, that's the point, man. Lord willing, this video is edifying. I'll go ahead and read Baruch one last time. Read it again, Lord willing. It's the book of Baruch, chapter 2. It says, Baruch 2 and verse 30. It says, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities, the same place where they told us, you are not the sons of the living God. It says, but in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves, and shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh, their power, for I will give them a heart and ears to hear. See? And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord. And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it. Meaning we're going to be running the land of Israel under YAHAWASHI. And I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. Right? See, because we're going to go back to being as the sand of the sea, stars of heaven for a multitude. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their power, and they shall be my people, and I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahushai. Bless you, Yahawah, bless you, Yahushai. All praises to YAHAWASHI. Call HALALYAM La, Yahawah BAHASHAM, BAHASHAM HaKadosh. All praises to Yahweh in the name of YAHAWASHI, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostle, elders, great most, and never will. Peace and blessing to the elect of Israel. Shalom and above all.